Hello everybody!
Hello.
Liz here, and today I have a very special guest, my friend.
Kaylin!
So today I'm doing obviously something a little bit different. I am not in my house, as you can tell. These are not my books, they're hers. So I have been wanting to talk about this particular book since I read it a few months ago, but every time I did, I would just get upset, and I felt like I couldn't do this alone, and I couldn't do this completely sober. So here I am with my friend Kaylin, and we are going to talk about the very disputed A Court of Wings and Ruins, or ACOWAR, by Sarah J. Maas. I'm just gonna give it a second. I'm just gonna lay this book down. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the third installment, of course, in the ACOTAR series. It is supposed to be the finale, it was supposed to be the final book, it was supposed to be the ending, and it does not feel like it. So the first book is ACOTAR. I don't know if you have a copy of it.
No. It's Court of Roses. Yeah,
it's a red book. Anyways.
It's red. Yeah.
So it follows Feyre, and she lives in this mythical, fantastical world where she is on one side as a human. And the Fae are in the other. Things happen. She goes to the other side. Madness ensues. So the second book in the series, which you do have, A Court of Mist and Fury, or ACOMF, was probably the best one and the only one I recommend you read.
If you skip like the
yeah,
first.
you can just skip. Just
read the
I
notes.
very rarely
First.
make a review where I don't recommend the book, but I just had to talk about it because I felt cheated. Anyways. So
we'll get there.
Right. I gave this book initially a 3.5 out of 5. That was my initial when I finished reading it. That, considering I give most of my stuff 4 and 5, that's pretty low. So that was my initial review. Now that I've had time to let it sit, I think it's more accurately like a 2.5. Yeah, what about you? What was your initial?
Well, I don't really read books, but I just know that I was very, very disappointed.
So we'll go with a 3
okay.
for your initial. Now that you've
probably like a 2.5 or a 3.
Yeah. So it was quite a disappointment. So obviously this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion review. So if you have not read this book and don't want to get spoiled, I suggest
you still like this book.
that too. Or if you're open to discussions and like criticism of a book you like, stick around. If not, then don't, because we have a lot to say. So again, I can't say anything without spoiling this book or the rest of the series. Read it at your own peril. Honestly, that's all I can say. And that is the spoiler warning for this. And we're gonna go into the spoiler bits. I'll give you a second to go and close this out and not read this book or stick around and find out what we have to say. Okay, so let's start with obviously the very beginning and how we left off in ACOMF. So we open the book with Rhysand's perspective,
which kind of felt out of
place.
Yeah, like kind of like from left field. Like, it was nice, thank you, but why?
It was pointless.
It was pointless.
It was completely pointless.
Maybe to like show the grief that he went through for the first war, because we know that there was going to be war in this book, but it was.
The point is, she said we're gonna have some Rhysand chapters. I was hella excited, and then she came out with this bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't
what
even.
Does
He
this
wasn't
have to
even
do with the book.
He wasn't even with Feyre in
was,
like the part.
It was after the first war, which was what, like 500 years before this book started.
Yeah, like before he met Feyre. So I was like, okay, whatever, over it. And then we move into straight to Feyre's been at the spring court for like
maybe a month.
A month.
Maybe.
We'll go with a month. Okay. So the first part, we're gonna separate this into 3 parts. Okay. The first part, which is her in the spring court, was good. Decent. Did a good job.
Yeah, it definitely had like some, oof, this is the Feyre that I've always wanted to see.
I mean, she was still really full of herself. She kept saying like, I'm tricking people.
Yeah,
and she would just wink at you.
But like, she was actively doing something, you know what I mean?
That's true. Like, she was conniving. Like, she was like the person you thought that she like would be. Now that she's found like all this power and like her high mate, like she was like outwitting everybody. I mean, I don't know why Tamlin fell for half the shit anyway.
Yeah, that's true. But there were like a lot of stuff where she was supposed to go there under, you know,
the pretense,
yeah, and try to get like information, but she didn't really get any information. She just sabotaged everything and then like got the hell out of Dodge, but she didn't bring back anything like useful. Like, obviously we saw Tamlin conspiring with the 2 other Fae from Highburn, but we never. She was like, oh, they're just conspiring. That's okay. I'm gonna go over here and still, messing stuff up.
And she got fucked over, and she didn't even realize it the entire time. The only part I really enjoyed was when she busted, Ian, or whatever, Elaine,
oh,
that one priestess's hand. I don't know her name. That one.
Right here. We could, look at it.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, when she busted her hand, I was like, that's some bad shit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's some bad
I was like,
shit.
that was cool. Yeah.
That was a really good part. And then she didn't finish the job because, I guess Lucian or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, you could have gone there, and you didn't. There's a lot of the you could have gone there.
Yeah.
And then she got kind of scared.
Yeah, that's the whole theme I think for this book is that you could have, but then you didn't.
The one part I did like was when she was flirting with Tamlin the entire time, and then she got
making him think that she was ready to.
Yeah, and then she had the moment with Lucian.
Yeah,
that was really good.
That was
really good. I was like. Oh, I was really excited. When that happened, I got really excited. I was like, oh, Feyre is gonna, go bad a little bit.
Yeah.
I was really excited. I was like, oh, she's gonna kind of be anti-hero, I guess, in a way, in, her own story.
Doing what she's supposed to be doing, this whole time.
She, sabotages the high priest. I don't remember her name.
I think it's Enith.
Enith, her ceremony where she, illuminates herself.
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool, too. Again, the first part of this book is really good.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe if she would have done another book. Was it you who said that?
Yeah, if there would have been more, I think if she would have had more time to kind of elaborate on everything that was going on, because everything happened so fast.
Right, and I think that's the thing too, is that if she had time to pace herself and kind of, then it could have, again, there was so much potential to this book.
And the pacing is a huge part.
Yes.
Because the first part is pretty long.
Yeah.
It's 100 pages, I want to say, maybe?
I want to say.
Let's go with 100 pages, because it's still quite a bit of the book. I know, we're going to just look at it. And I think if it would have been expanded, if she would have spent more time at the Spring Court, if she would have played kind of that game a little bit more, it would have been really epic. So then we go on to, I guess, the second part is when she's on the run. Yeah. And we find out that she had
poison.
Wolf's Bane.
Yeah.
I don't know, some kind of anti-fairy.
Faebane, I think it is.
Is it?
Or something.
Something ridiculous. That I was like, that's such a... Is it the word ex machina, where it's just the perfect kind of kryptonite? It was kryptonite. It was
it was too
Superman's
easy kind
kryptonite.
of, yeah.
It was Superman's kryptonite, because it's the one thing that can get rid of fairies' powers.
Yeah.
So
but we didn't hear any of that in the other books.
Exactly. But I guess
there was
something that was developed, maybe?
Yeah, but I mean even there was just a lot of things that came out of left field in this book that could have been really cool if they would have been kind of
even just sprinkled.
Foreshadowed, in the other books.
Yeah. Well, then we have that high fairy bane or whatever, fucking kryptonite. That gets thrown and you're on the run, her and Lucian are on the run, Lucian finally takes her side, kind of. He is forced to take her side. But we have Lucian, which is one of the characters I think everybody has really, really loved. Yeah. Because of his kind of moral ambiguity. Yeah. In the story. Which is really cool. Did you realize that he knew about Feyre's tattoo the entire time?
What? No.
Yeah, his eye.
You're right!
Yeah, he knew about Feyre's tattoo, so he knew she was bullshitting the entire time. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna let you do you. Because you have your sister.
My boy.
Right? Okay.
Love him.
Which just sucks because then he was not in the book.
She did him dirty.
She did him bad. This is another Cole situation. Cole situation.
Cole.
Where they had really good potential as characters, and then she just swept him under the rug.
Yeah. I do understand why she did it. It makes more sense for them to get together than with her and Lucian, in my own humble opinion. But it's not fair that Lucian should have ended up alone. If you were already going to do that, then I would have done that with maybe Nesta. Show that you have a bond with somebody, but it doesn't mean that you have to have it. Do it with Nesta. Don't fuck with Lucian.
That's true.
That's mean.
That's true. So we have the whole Lucian situation, and they're they have to go through the Autumn Court, which is her
there was
family.
With that too.
That was because she's here's one thing that pissed me off. She's opening for all of these novellas, but it's you should have ended this series. Yeah. This series should have ended on its own.
Right, because
and that was I think one of the biggest mistakes of this whole entire storyline. But so we go to the fucking Autumn Court and we meet his older brother, Eris.
Maybe.
Is it the older brother? The one that was
it's Eris or something.
Eris, whatever. He was the one that was engaged to Mor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we find out that he's not a complete asshole. That he kind of wants
like
to overthrow.
Yeah.
That he kind of wants to overthrow his dad. So we're like, okay, cool. Like, I guess he gets stabbed.
Lucian, no,
Somebody gets stabbed.
She burns him.
Is it okay?
Yeah, like because they're in the cave and like she feels like the flickering of her powers come back, but it's just fire because she's in the Autumn Court or something like that, and she shows them that she has fire power.
Oh, and she has it.
And they all freak out. Yeah, and then she and Lucian like bail.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so that happens, and then we meet. That was really a good part. That was a really exciting part. Is when
like on the ice.
Cassius.
Oh yeah.
Cassian shows up. Cassian. Whatever. We're bad at whatever. When he shows up, it was really exciting because we got left off in Acoma with him like losing his wings, and you were just like, is he going to be able to fly again? It was just like, I wanted to cry a little bit. So we find out he's completely healed, which again,
yeah, because it's only been a month. It's only been a month. Like,
even if it would have been fast, he shouldn't have been able to fight as well as he did.
Right. Like, there should have been some, like,
backlash to it.
Yeah.
So we see him, which I was really excited about. I was like, my boy, I liked him.
Oh, yeah, I love him. I was really
And
happy.
then we finally move on to, I guess, what could be considered the third, because it's going to be 4 parts, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay. When the reunion scene.
Which was cute.
I did really enjoy the reunion scene, because she, like,
cute.
cried and she fell. He was a little too cocky for me. I was like, boy.
Yeah.
But it was really cute. I think it was done in a way that made sense for the kind of characters that we had come to know them to be.
Right.
Like, they were very loving, but they were very, their own characters. Like, I enjoyed the reunion scene. I did. I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
After that is when things really started going downhill.
Yeah.
Really, really, really fast. So what do we have? I'm like...
Well, okay, so it started with when, for me, it was when she was in the library and she was attacked by those 2, like, elves from Hybern.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, Elaine, like, saw them coming. Which that was a really cool element that Elaine had, but they never really dived into that too much. Like, they could have used Elaine a lot more than they actually did. They were just like, oh, she's crazy, she's crazy. Oh, wait, no, she can see the future, but we're not going to
We don't care. Yeah, like, we don't care about her.
We don't, Like, when Feyre goes down and, what is it? Like, Braxis? Is that what the thing is called?
I think so.
But, like...
that whole thing.
There were too many, like, easy... fixes from that point on, especially like when, because you said it was like when like the war like really started, like when they were in battle, like in the tents, things just started like fixing themselves a little too easily.
It was way too easy. I mean, let's go to the moment you brought up that I hadn't really put together. When they're in battle and fucking Feyre runs off. When she runs off and gets the serial killed. Okay. So that whole situation happens, she runs off, she gets the serial killed, and we come back.
And Race is literally like, I mean, you're fine. You're fine.
And then Moore is really pissed off. So, I'm gonna just elaborate on that. Like, when you leave a battle without telling somebody, you either died, you're missing an action, or you deserted.
Right.
Like, those are your 3 options. It's not like, I went to go help, but I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody. Like, you don't fucking do that. And, okay, she came back and she was mad, and Moore was mad with good fucking reason.
Right. But then she comes back with, like, that whole, like, stupid part where she's like, oh, you want to talk about trust, then why aren't you and Az, like, together? Which came out of, again, like, left field. Like,
yeah.
Like, I understand.
That was completely uncalled for.
Right. And in a sense, like, not even, like, how dare she kind of uncalled for, but uncalled for of, like okay, why did you bring that up in this moment, though?
It makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have made more sense when she slept with Killian, right?
Yeah.
That would have made more sense. Like, oh, how are you sleeping with him under the same roof as Az?
Right, when you can't even, like, look him in the eye the next morning.
Which was, that whole, I know we had different feelings about that whole situation, where, like, all the High Lords...
Yeah. Like, because I understand, like, the shock behind it, but you are right. Like, she should have said, like...
I would have gone off on a bitch.
Something. Like, even if she didn't go off, because maybe
she
was
just
so
like, shut
shocked,
up.
But she was like, huh. But...
I didn't like that. I was like, I gasped out loud. I was like, if this man gets a redemption arc, I'm gonna burn this book. And he does. And I don't even like the fucking redemption arc. That fucking... I can't burn the book, unfortunately. I paid for it. The whole redemption... I'm just gonna... I can't.
Okay, yeah, let's go back.
Let's go back.
There's a lot between...
that happens. So we have
a whole thing of himself.
Yeah, we have like Tamlin coming in and wanting to be like this douchebag, which he is. We've established that he's an asshole. And then he comes and he like talks shit to everybody at the court. He's just like, fuck you, especially, and then fuck you. Like, that is literally what he comes in and does.
Yeah, I bet everybody knows that he's with Hybern the entire time.
Which is why I don't know why they let him come in the first place.
Right, well, because I think he tells them, like, oh, do you honestly think, like, I would, like, be on his side, like, I'm a double-crosser, blah, 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 blah.
I thought he was, like, a triple, quadruple agent, like, because he flip-flopped a couple of times.
Yeah, he was, I think, triple.
Was it?
Yeah, because he said that he was
with Hybern,
but then he was like, no, I'm just spying on Hybern, and then he went to Hybern and was like, no, I'm spying for you, but then in the end...
So isn't that 4?
Maybe, yeah, I think that is 4.
Someone figure that out for me. But he had that whole situation happen. Also, another super easy scapegoat, when they walked into Hybern's fucking camp. So easily.
Oh my god.
Like nothing.
I didn't even think about that. Like,
I just thought of this right now.
Like,
there's nothing to stop them.
They just walked right into, like, where Elaine was being held, and then they just, like, walked out with her. I mean, like, okay, yeah, they were chased out, but, like, they got Elaine out without any conflict at all.
Like, no alarms risen.
Yeah.
Like, if it was that easy, why didn't you just kill the man?
Right.
Like, you could have ended the war and so much grief and so much death if you would have just killed him in that instant. Like, if you're that savvy to get into his camp unnoticed,
why don't you just assassinate the guy?
Plot hole. It's like you just wanted the drama. And then what
was the whole point of taking her? Because the Cauldron loved her. It was Nessa that the Cauldron
hated. I don't know why the Cauldron hated Nessa.
Because Nessa stole power.
Death?
Yeah. Well, and that was never really elaborated either, because I don't think it was actually, like, death. It was death-like.
She could, didn't she, like, she could sense death's presence.
She could sense the Cauldron's presence. I don't know.
Every time I drink this, I'm just getting more heated. No, again, what was the point of that? Like,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that there's no point, like, again, like, if she had enough time to set up, like this book should have been split into 2.
Definitely.
Because there were...
Or been hella longer.
Like, what is it, the Ouroboros? Like, that was one of my biggest things, is that I was so excited to see, like, exactly what Feyre had to face.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about? The mirror.
To get to the mirror. But then, she just talked about, like, what she had to face, instead of actually showing us. And, I don't know about you guys, but, like, I wanted to see her go through that shit. Like
have her total meltdown, which she did a good job of, like, the whole PTSD kind of thing, depression in the
second, right? In the second, so why didn't she do it again? Because, like, she could have done it like a dreamlike state or something, like her walking in and thinking that she's, like, in the past or something.
Some divergent shit where she, like, starts to fight all these random things, like
right, exactly, and then she gets confused and then she can get stuck there, kind of like she did it in Empire of Storms, when, like, she gets, or not Empire of Storms, Queen of Shadows. Because, like, she gets, like, stuck, like, in, like, her darkness, and then she goes down.
No, that was Heir of Fire. She did that in Heir of Fire and in Queen of Shadows. She did in Heir of Fire when she was dying, and, like, all these people were talking to her.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But see, something like that, where it's, like, you're showing us, like, what she's going through, rather than just, like,
telling us.
And then, like, I cried because I saw that I was a monster.
Like, you're that strong, like, you're perfect. If you didn't have to deal with anything.
Right.
That's literally what she's telling us.
And that's the other thing, too, is that, like, obviously, like, she had to go through some shit or whatever, but I didn't see it as bad as maybe I should have. Like, I don't think Feyre was as, like, monstrous or as, like, an evil person as, like, she was supposed to be. She just...
Like, if she would have continued onto the path at the beginning of the story, then yes.
Yeah, then she would have turned into a monster
I would have believed
and
a lot more.
And that would have been, like, an epic, like, redemption
arc.
For her.
That would have been so good. Again, missed opportunities here.
Yeah.
Then we find out that the bone carver looks like her son.
No, that was kind of alluded to in the last book, because, like...
okay, and then we find out the bone carver is, like, a god.
Yeah.
And, like, he's sisters, brothers, relations with the bone weaver.
Right, and again, like, and it's been a long time since I've read, like, the second book. But I don't remember anything about, like, gods. Like, I know that there were older beings, like
we talk
Amarin.
about Amarin being, like...
something, what she...
in a different world or something like that. Yeah, she was some kind of weird animal.
Yeah.
Speaking of Armin, I did like that her and that dude from the Summer Court got together.
That was cute.
It was very, like... Shocker. But
No
I
way!
did
Like, they were, like,
no, shocker isn't,
destined.
like, in the way that it happened.
Oh, okay.
In, like, in the scene where, like, he just comes up to her and she's just like, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Literally, and then she just walks out.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. I was like, I wanted more on that. Like, I wanted a little more elaboration on that.
Yeah.
And then we find out we have them being friends with, like, the Winter Court?
Oh, yeah, like, they're kind of friends because Race had to, like, kill the actual Winter...
the children, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't know. Like, he had to kill, like, the Winter Lord, or whatever, the High Lord, when they were under the mountain. And then, like, he was kept, and he thought, like, okay, like, I fixed things as much as I can. And then he found out later that they had gone into the court and killed all the children.
That's sad. Like, see, like, there's just so much potential. So we have Moore and his the High Lord's wife being friends.
Yeah, I don't remember her name
either. Like, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I did enjoy. Like, I enjoyed the fact that, you know, Lucien had a father that wasn't the High Lord of the Autumn Court.
That was cool.
But it wasn't alluded to, because if he's biracial, then why does he look so white? Like, or why is he described so white? Like, no offense, but, like, the darker melanin in our skin, I don't even know what I'm saying. Darker skin will always overrule, like, lighter skin 99% of the time. And even if you're light skin, you're still darker than, like, a white person. Like, you know? So that was, like, a little weird, where it's just like, maybe it would have been a little alluded to a little bit more, because Helion is described as very dark.
Right. Yeah.
I did like that his mom, like, totally cheated on her dad.
Yeah. But then, like, she
got fucked over.
to stay.
I know.
He was like, Helion is still in love with her, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And that makes me sad.
He gave her, like, the option, like, you can stay there or you can come with me. Like, she would have been, like,
happy.
But, like, a lady of the court no matter what, in my opinion.
But she had all these kids with, like, the other dude, too.
Yeah, who were, like, horrible.
That's also
the only one that she loved was Lucien, and it was because he wasn't,
Like, we all know that she has been criticized, Sarah, for her lack of representation, and I feel like she tried to force a lot of the representation here, and it definitely blew up in her face. That goes with, like, one of the ace-phobic comments at the beginning of the story, too, which I'm not going to touch on because that's not my lane. I'm going to let people that, you know what they're talking about talk about that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it, you'll find out. And then, so that was the situation. I just didn't like that, I mean, the Zuriel got killed. Again, the not taking risk for the deaths. Nobody important died.
Amarin should have died.
Amarin
easily.
should have died.
And I love her. She's my favorite. She should have died.
Yeah.
Kajin should have died. Oh, God,
Ragnar. Died, and it's emotional, and it makes the story better.
The story, because, like, you're invested in these characters, and you know what? It's kind of like a Breaking Dawn thing, where it's like, like, in Breaking Dawn, Alice should have died, because that's just, or at least somebody should have died, but to not kill anyone off is a cop-out. Like, you don't come home with everybody at the end of a war, and I mean, as much as we all want them to, at the end of the day, it is war.
It's not realistic.
It's not
realistic. Considering, especially not with the magnitude of what, like she
what
portrayed
happened?
of this war.
And that was it. Okay, so I know I've brought this up a few times, but when he used the cauldron, he killed the bone carver. Mm-hmm. That was, he definitely did that. But then there was, like, a weird thing about the weaver, and, like, at first when I read it, it was like she faded into the light. And then later on, it was Amarin and Faber were following her to the cliffside, to climb the cliffside to get to the cauldron. Maybe I misread it. But
I also disliked so much the whole astral projection bullshit.
Honestly, the entire final battle was shit.
Like, if you really wanted to see it, then maybe Farrah should have been president instead of having her astral project.
Yeah, because that doesn't make any sense either. Because why would the cauldron allow her to do something like that? Like,
or show her that.
Questions about.
Or show her that about the cauldron, right?
Yeah.
So many questions surrounding the cauldron. So that situation, and then just the mirroring of what happened in Empire of Storms, where, like, at the cusp is when help showed up. Like, when you needed them most.
And that was something, too, is that, so Lucien disappears forever. We hear literally nothing about him. Like, Elaine, who supposedly can see all these things, doesn't mention anything about him. And then he shows up with an armada, but we don't know
Who's Armada?
Yeah.
Or where he's been.
No, because we know, like, it has to do with, like, the queen. Like,
That one fucking queen.
Right, but again, like, if... I'm wondering now if maybe she made the final story up as she went along.
Definitely.
Because, again, like, it could have been so much better if she planted all these seeds, like, in the first
If she
couple
would
books.
have ended it, like, right before the battle, maybe even then, and then, like, continue the story in a different book with answers to all of these questions, maybe it would have been a lot better. Because there's so many questions that we had, so many plot holes, so many things that could have been elaborated on that were not elaborated on.
Yeah, and then, okay, so the way that Hybern died, too.
He got beheaded. How fucking easy was that? I could have beheaded him. That was so easy.
We're gonna do astral project.
Yeah, I was gonna astral project into the fucking story and behead him. And then when we had the winged people, like, there's a whole ass legend with Julian.
I thought it was like Draken.
I thought it was Julian. I thought it was Julian.
The angel winged people.
But no, Julian, like the one, because you know, like, Samurai had the eye.
Yeah.
His whole storyline where he was actually gonna betray
I did like that.
I did, but I was like...
But again, there could have been more.
There's just more. And I am so disappointed that I didn't like the book as much as I want. There's some stuff, obviously, but...
Yeah, no, I spent 12 hours reading ACOWAR, and it took me... How long did it take me?
2 months. Like, 2 months
to read this third one. And it was literally just because I had no want to.
For entertainment value, as in, like, this is a soap opera book. I finished it pretty quickly, probably about 2 weeks. Which is kind of slow for me, because if I like something, I'll finish it in a few days. But then, like, you start thinking about everything, and then she comes out with, like, oh, I have 6 novellas in this world. It's like...
Which is fine, though. It's fine, but finish your story first. Yeah. Like, novellas are fine to have, even with the books already done. You know what I mean? Like,
The Tales of the Shadowhunter is a great example for the Mortal Instruments series. She finished her series, and then she's like, oh, you know what? There's some stuff that I maybe want to continue writing about. She wrote a whole ass book on, like, these stories, and it works because she finished fucking story.
Right. Like, if you're gonna have, like, all these things, you might as well just continue the series. There's no point in...
People are gonna buy your books anyway.
Yeah. Like, at this point, like, it's... You already copped out to the point of... Yeah. I don't know. It's just... I was so sad, and...
I'm mad because she's gonna have the wedding scene where they actually get married in a novella. Why didn't we get to see that in the book?
Because it's a way for you to, like, continue to buy her books.
I don't think I am. I don't think I'm gonna buy. Because, okay, so nobody died. Nobody important died. I almost thought she was going to kill off Lucian during that battle scene when they were talking about him being, like, this war god. I was like, this is it.
When?
Where everybody kind of stops and looks at Cassian as he's fighting, and it's like, oh, this is what he was made for.
Oh, okay.
During one of the first battles. And I was like, oh my god, is she gonna kill him off? Because, like, you see him fall, and you see him get... Cassian.
Oh, because you said Lucian.
Oh, whatever. And then he gets surrounded by all these people, and you're like, for a split second, you're
you're like, he's gonna die. Especially because Elaine had said something earlier in the book, like, oh, you're gonna die.
And when you saw that, it was just like, oh, maybe he's going to go out in, like, a blaze of glory, and then he doesn't.
Oh, it would have been so good. It would have hurt so bad, but it would have been so good. And then Amarin should have died, like, and that was another
when Amarin died.
Yeah, okay, for, like, 2 seconds.
Or lied to her, sorry.
Yeah. But, like, okay, so if you're gonna use that, then, which again, I think it's a full cop-out to be like, oh, release me in my beast form, which wasn't even really explained what she really was. And then she was like, when I am there, like, she gave Feyre, like, instructions, but then it didn't even matter at all because they didn't, like, nobody listened to her anyway. And she just kind of, like, attacked.
And then she was like, nobody's
burned out.
And then she was like, oh, I'm not going to remember friend from enemy. Yeah. But she does.
But she does.
And she's like, it would have been crazy if, like, she would have killed, like, a lady. Like, somebody, you know,
like, you didn't even have to
even
be, like,
one of the High Lords.
Group. Like, if she killed, like, Tarkin or Tamlin, which we still have to talk about Tamlin.
Oh my god, I don't want to. And then we have Rhysand dying. I did cry when Rhysand died.
I rolled my eyes.
I cried because I was like, oh, is she really gonna do this? And then she did it. And then I was mad. I was like, so you're just gonna play me?
Yeah.
And
Because that flaw that he had bothered me a lot. Because it was like, he was the martyr, and I have issues with people who are martyrs for... I don't know.
I guess he was the martyr.
He was playing the martyr.
That's true.
I'll sacrifice myself for the good of the world. It's a great sentiment. It really is, but...
You're worthless.
Like...
You're the greatest High Lord
in existence, which I think is another weird thing that he was, like...
Yeah, and Pharaoh was too, and it's like, you didn't use her at all
right.
during the battles. Like, she was like, useless
easy.
as...
Yeah.
She was more useless.
She had all this power, and then, like, you didn't even use her. She ran with Amarin, and then got stuck in the cauldron, then had that weird out-of-body experience.
She never fought in any of the fucking battles.
Amarin fought and burned out.
So, the camera overheated, and I finished the bottle of wine, and I don't even know where we left off. I'm sure I'll figure it out when I'm editing this.
Tamlin!
Let's just go into Tamlin.
Tamlin!
And his entire story arc.
Stupid arc.
His redemption arc. Whatever the fuck
whatever you want to call it.
Stupidest thing I've ever heard. I never thought that she was going to actually redeem him.
I don't see how you could actually redeem somebody like that. Even with, like, the way that she did it, I was still like, no, you're still fucking Tamlin. Like, you still did those things.
Be happy, Feyre. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Like, that's the least you can do in this situation.
Yeah. I always think about, like, the scene at the camp where, like, he turns into, like, to beast mode and he comes and, like, rescues her and she's like, it was Tamlin who came to, like, rescue us and, like, let us out. Like...
For what part?
When she got
when she's in hibernation.
Yeah.
That's true. I hated that part. I was like, he should have fucking died. Like, he obviously stayed behind.
Right, like, if you're gonna do a redemption arc, then...
Kill him.
Kill him or leave breadcrumbs in previous books. Foreshadow! Foreshadow. You didn't foreshadow anything.
You know who got redeemed really well, though? Murphy. From the 100.
Yes.
Like, he's still a shitbag.
There you go.
But he got redeemed.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him so much. Like, I want him to succeed so much. The 100, though, is, like, a really good show to show redemption arcs. Because, like, the same thing with Bellamy. Like,
that's true.
Bellamy started off as, like
you could have redeemed him and him still be an asshole, but the way that you tried to
execute it correctly. Like,
like, I'm talking to Sarah.
Yeah.
the way she tried to redeem him was sloppy.
It was too easy.
I don't really think I'm gonna read the last book.
Yeah, I've already told you, like, you can spoil it for me. Like, I'm done. Especially because, like, I already told you that Empire Storm had a lot of similarities to ACOWAR. Like,
did it really?
Yeah, because both stories had secret marriages.
Yeah.
Both stories had, like, the brooding man.
But, I mean, the brooding man is just a trope in general.
Yeah, but don't use it in
paranormal romance.
Like, you have 2 series. That's it. Why use the same trope twice in your 2 series?
Okay, brooding man. What else?
There were... Putting me on the spot.
I know. Their numbers were up on my fingers.
I know. There are other ones. I can't think of them right now.
We had the battle. The easiness of the battle.
The easiness of the battle.
Nobody died.
Yeah.
Did anybody die in that one? No.
Nobody has died in the entire series except for Hybern. And that was a given because he's, like, the antagonist.
Big bad. And then if he was the big bad, he was easy to kill, so then who is this, like, lord that has a queen?
Oh, yeah. Who is
that all about?
Yeah. Like, you can't just, like, throw things into books. You can't do that. Like, you have to leave the breadcrumbs. You have to foreshadow these things because people are going to they're going to get pissed off.
If you've made it this far in the video, the book series that I will forever and always recommend, the Red Rising trilogy. Before shadowing the character development in the book.
Ember in the Ashes.
Ember in the Ashes.
Yeah.
You read back that story.
There's a thing, like, in the second book where you asked her, right? You're like, how could you? Did you really think about this, like, as you were going through, or did you have it planned out?
Years.
And she was like, I planned it. It was like the soul, it was the seed of the entire book. And, like, when it happened, you were like...
You go back and you read it and you're just like, everything, all of the seeds have been planted for you.
Right, exactly.
For Laya's ability, all of the seeds have been planted for you.
Yeah.
And even if you wrote this book as you were going, like, did you not read your writing back?
Right, and there still could have been foreshadowing in the beginning of the book. Like, if you're going to have, like, these grand ideas, then you could sprinkle, like, little things like she stumbled across, like, a library, like, in the Spring Court.
Yeah, because the library wasn't mentioned in anything else.
Right, or, you know, like, there could have been so many, like, because a lot of writers write as they go. You know what I mean? Like, not every... me too, a little bit. But not, like, every book is going to be foreshadowed like Red Rising
and
or Ember in the Ashes.
And not everything is foreshadowed.
Right. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But make sure that you execute it well enough. Like, make sure that when you read it back, it doesn't seem like cop-outs. Because you
There's
can
a
tell.
lot of plot holes.
You can, like... When you read back, like, your stuff, you can tell when
like,
there
you
are
copped
certain...
out on something.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that one scene that I was telling you, I'm like, I totally copped out on this scene. So I have to go back and you have to fix it. You have to, like, conflict. Make sure your characters are always in conflict and, like...
As much as we want happy endings, like we talk about as readers, that we want happy endings in stories.
But we want them to be believable happy endings.
Not only
and
that,
not tied up happy endings. Like, if somebody dies, but, like, your two main characters come out of it alive, like, oh my god, it was so sad, but they still made it.
And I think that even if that happens, what you... I don't even know what I was going to say when you... I fucking lost it. But you have to be willing to take risks.
Right.
And unfortunately, like, we all want happy endings as readers. Like, we're all, like, joking around. Like, oh, I wish this person... I would read this person eating jam and stuff like that. But stories don't come out of complacency with happy ever afters.
They come out of conflict and strife.
I read romances because that's what I get. That's what I'm striving for. But if I'm going to read, like, a high fantasy, like, high stakes crime drama, I don't expect everybody to come out of it alive.
Red Rising is a perfect example of that because you go in thinking that these characters are safe, and then they are very not. They are really not. Like, no one is safe in those books, so, like, you're almost afraid to like these characters. And, like, same thing with, like, Game of Thrones. Like,
yes, perfect example.
Like, you can, like, there was, like, okay, so the scene where Arya...
Oberyn Martell.
But, like, when Arya was running from what's-her-face, like, when they gave the order to kill her because she didn't, like, assassinate...
for the faceless men? Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Like, I remember I was texting during that scene and I was like, oh, it's fine, it's Arya. And I looked down and I was like, wait, it's Game of Thrones. Like nobody is safe. Like, Arya, run. Like, fucking run.
And I think that's what makes...
It makes, like...
shows and stuff like Game of Thrones
stories so good is because, like, you don't know what's happening next. But if you...
Saba with the third trial. Oh, my God. I didn't think she was gonna go there.
I didn't think
and
so
she
either.
Did.
And she did such a good... Oh my god.
Honestly, we have these are the two. This is that and then Six of Crows. These two series and Six of Crows are the series that I will forever and always recommend everybody ever if you want well-written stories.
Yeah, and fantasy stories that are well-written, like really well-written stories that you can
think about forever and ever.
Ember in the Ashes, Six of Crows, and Red Rising. Easy.
If you are in a slump or if you are disappointed by stories, as much as I don't want to talk shit on Sarah, I think that she's been coddled by her fans.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, she has a lot of haters, but
right, and you know what, like, and you can only go up. You know what I mean? Like, you can only go up. Like, if you look at Leah Bardugo, her Grisha trilogies, which was her first series, was really good, but then you look at her Six of Crows series, and it will blow you away. Yeah.
She does take a lot of shit, like, I'll give her that. Like, she is a trooper for not being on social media. And listening to other people talk shit.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't either, like, you know? But you do have to learn to take criticism when you're writing.
Right.
And, realize that things you're doing wrong and try to fix them, but not the way that she did in this book.
But not talk out to them.
Again, just disappointed, and, like, there was stuff I liked because I finished the story.
Right.
If I don't like something, I won't review it, I won't finish it. Yeah. And it was just a lot that was missing, and that could have been done better. And that she had the ability to write better. Like, she did a good job in ACOWAR.
Like, I think she's really good at,
I think she should write paranormal romance. I think she'd be a good paranormal
romance. She'd be very,
very,
like, that's what she should do. But you know what? She does characters really, really well. Like, once
I have no more wine.
Do you want some scotch? It's mostly water now, but... That was very... Oh, actually it's sweeter than I thought it was. It has a little bit of emerald on it. Oh, fancy. Anyways.
But, like, she's really good about voices.
Yeah, she's very good at voices.
So, like, and she did that, like...
we don't completely hate her work.
No, of course not. Because obviously, like, even though it took me, like, months to finish the book, like, I still finished it.
Yeah.
And there are many books... Well, actually, I think I finished all these. This is, like, a bad example.
Completed series.
Yeah. But there are a lot of books that if I don't like, I will put them down, like what you said. Yeah. But I just think that...
I will not review.
You write the character, not the stories that you want. Like, if the characters are going to go one way, then you write it that way, even if it gets hard to write.
Yeah.
you know? And that sucks because you copped out.
She
and
did.
It could have been like
this epic finale.
It fell short literally by like this much. Like if you would have just gone the distance, if you just would have taken a little bit more time, if you would have split it into 2 books.
You know who we do need to blame? Her editor.
Yeah. Yeah, because there were like a lot of typos. And like, I'm a writer. I'm not a grammar Nazi. I'm terrible at grammar. I'm a terrible speller. But when I catch them in published books,
works,
you know that there is a problem. Like there were many times where I was like,
like once or twice is fine because it's like, you know, it's a huge book.
Yeah, you can't
help it.
Get all of them. But there was a good chunk where I was like, okay. By the end, I was like, okay.
I didn't notice too many, probably because I was reading it like
fast.
Not fast, but I tend to not to notice that stuff.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like doing a reread. But there is a lot of plot holes where like an editor definitely could have been like, hey, does this get addressed? Yeah, like your editor needs to really learn.
Have your back.
To tell you to cut. Even your publisher should have been like, maybe the story is too big for one book.
Right. You know what, maybe she only had a contract for 3 books for this particular series. But then don't make it such a big story. Okay. 699 pages. So just short of 700 pages. The story was too big for that though. Like it could have you could have either extended it to probably closer to 1,000.
She took a chunk out of like Lord of the Rings, but only delivered us. I don't even know what else to compare it to. Didn't deliver the Lord of the Rings size.
And this isn't. You might get some hate for this, but it kind of reminded me of like the Twilight series. This book, it reminded me of the Twilight series.
Twilight was horribly written. I still enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, of course.
It was horribly written.
But it was horribly, right, exactly. And the story was really, really weak.
Last hard.
The ending of Breaking Dawn was really, really weak.
Yeah. Like, I will forever love Twilight, like the first book. I think the first book had so much potential, especially with like the legends and the mythology behind everything. And then it just became this horrible love story.
Right.
And then it just became too big of a story and too much.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that's what happened with this series. Is that just it got too big for her. And she didn't have the capacity to write it. Which is really sad because it could have been so good.
Yeah. I'm just and again, like we've said like a couple times, I don't think I'm gonna finish. And if I do, it's purely for reviewing purposes.
Yeah.
The last book.
Yeah.
And Tower of Dawn. Which I've heard mixed reviews already. So I'm not too excited to read that. Yeah. But if I do read them, it's for reviewing purposes only and for situations where I get to talk shit on things that I don't like. Because you obviously find more things that you hate than you love about a story without spoiling something.
Yeah, and then you can just tell me because I'm not reading them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna end up because I want to for the purpose of like if nobody else wants to read it, they can watch whatever I have to say about it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've said everything. This is gonna be a
There's probably more.
There probably is, and that's sad because there's way more stuff that I didn't like that I did like, and it does make me sad because if you see my ACOWAR review, like I'm so excited for it and so happy for it, and then.
Oh, past Liz.
I know, past Liz is gonna look at future Liz and be like, really? Like, this is what I have to look forward to.
Fuck you!
So I'm gonna go, like, watch my video again and be excited for just that. Like, I'm gonna pretend nothing else exists but that one book.
Yeah.
That book was great.
Because I've reread that book a few times.
I've read parts in it.
The story is just so beautiful.
It is. It's a good love story. It's a good, you know, like, not soft romance, but it's a good romance. Yeah. It's a good kind of like fantasy romance, and I very much enjoyed it.
And you know what I really liked about ACOWAR is that like Feyre fell in love with Tamlin in the first book, like that was established, but then like it showed the process of falling out of love
and then
falling back into love with somebody else, which is really rare. Like I feel like in a book, like you only get fell in love.
You get the one love
interest.
Much,
that's it. So like I really, really, really appreciated that. Like in this series.
And you got to see, like, the abusive behavior of Tamlin.
Yeah, like, if you go back and read the first...
ACOTAR.
ACOTAR? Yeah. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Tamlin, what the fuck?
Again,
you're horrible.
So much potential. So much potential. And I think she bit more than she could chew.
Yeah.
Or more that she was allowed to chew.
Yeah.
And we get this sad ending. Because I've read some bad endings, and this is definitely up there now.
Yeah.
With bad endings. But I am gonna just stop this video because it's gonna be way too long. Yeah, it's gonna be continuous. So, that is all from me and from Kaylin on A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Final thoughts are, I still give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Will I reread this book? Probably not. Do I recommend this to people now? No. It's sad, but I will. I just can't. I can't subject somebody to this. Yeah. As much as I liked book 2. Yeah. Any final thoughts before?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes, don't forget to if you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more of my face and more of Kaylin's face and we can read more books, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And of course, in the subscription, by subscribing to me, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I had an entire bottle of wine.
An entire bottle, like
literally.
Show them the all to herself.
Yeah,
I finished just scotch.
She just had scotch, so I don't play games. So that is all for me, folks. I hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, night, whenever you happen to be watching this. Happy readings. Adios.
Au revoir.
Whatever.